Hey everyone, Chaps here, and today is part 5 of the assembly for our Prusa Mk4 kit. So far we've assembled the frame, X and Z axis, and then an extruder. So today we move on to the LCD and the electronics. As usual, I've got timestamps down below if you want to skip around. I've also got links to the other parts of this series and a longer video showing the full process. There's also some links down there to the official online assembly manual. And I'll make a note here to keep in mind that, again, I have 2 static cameras set up for this build that I'm going to flip between, but my main priority was the build, not the camera angle. So some of the views in this video are not the best. I just want you to keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're on to the LCD, which is a nice upgrade from the basic screen of the Mk3. This is actually split into 2 sections that depend on which screen you have. I have version A, so that's where I'm going to focus here. We're going to start by grabbing a bunch of parts, which makes me really thankful for the way that Prusa organized the bags. The first step is to insert some nuts into the LCD supports. We can then take this reflector sticker and attach it to the bottom of the cover. The right side LCD support can then get placed on the board and it's pressed into the LCD cover. The support then gets screwed on. Next, the grounding cable bracket gets screwed into place, and we can then look at screwing on the left side LCD support. From here, the LCD cable and the grounding cable are plugged into the board, at which point we can now skip ahead as the next few steps are for version B of the board. The LCD board gets flipped over and the input knob can get pushed on. It's now time to attach the screen to the frame. We pass the cables under the frame and push the brackets into position. We can then come up from the back and use 4 screws to tighten the brackets to the frame. Cable management is next as we feed the LCD cables along the inside of the frame. We'll now move on to the PSU. This is best if we flip the printer over on the side. Now we go in with some power cables and we hook them to the terminal screws on the PSU. Make sure you connect these to the right leads, or else bad things could happen, I guess. We also add this panic cable, which I'm not really sure what it's for, but I'm guessing it's a safety thing. And yeah, give me a break. I have degrees in mechanical and aerospace engineering. All this electrical stuff is like voodoo magic to me, man. Alright, so with these wires all hooked up, the next step is to add the PSU cover, which just takes a couple of screws. And then the cables are fed through some of the cable clips to join their friends. Again, apologies for some of the camera angles here. The next step was to zip tie this Z-motor cable into position. I honestly don't know why we had to do this one, and I don't feel like the instructions were super clear on how this was done, but hey, I managed. And this next part was really a pain. It's just all about cable management. We walked the group of cables down the frame, zip tying them occasionally, and I actually missed a couple and had to go redo a few. I guess it's important to pay attention, or at least double check yourself occasionally. With that completed, we can get to the nightmare of cable management in the buddy box. It's not too bad with just first attaching the PSU and grounding cables. The zip tie job they want you to do on some of the other cables is a bit odd though, and I certainly didn't get it perfectly the way they wanted. But I guess it's a matter of just being good enough. As long as the cables aren't in the way and they're not dragging on the table, everything should be fine. I'm not going to walk you through every single cable, partially because there's a lot of them, and secondly because they're important to get right, so I'm not exactly the one that you should be listening to about that. And maybe most importantly, you likely don't want to stare at shots of my back for the next 10 minutes. But hey, look, I got them all in there. And oops, I'm blocking it again. But yeah, there it is. It's all hooked up. Electronics completed. Well, mostly. This was a short chapter here, but that was an agonizing hour and 40 minutes. And that brings us to a total of 8 hours and 40 minutes thus far, which, again, lots of mistakes and inefficiencies along the way. Probably should be a lot less than 8 hours 40 minutes. With that all wrapped up, it's time for one last break. In the next video, we're going to take out the Y-axis assembly and try booting up for the first time. As always, links to the other videos are down below, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment or hit me up on Twitter. If you found this helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.